This is because I'll be going over my NBA game predictions for January 9th of 2022. Tonight there is 10 games. We'll be going over the spreads and over-unders, which I got from FanDuel, and then the over-unders are a mix of my thoughts and FanDuel. For the Spurs at the Nets, I'll be leaning towards Brooklyn -10. This is because I expect Brooklyn to win this game, and I expect Durant and Harden to have good games against the Spurs, as the Spurs are like mid-tier defensive team, so I think Durant, being like one of the best offensive players in the league, shouldn't have a problem scoring the ball. They should want to get a win after losing to the Bucks, rather not lose 2 in a row, so they should come out trying to win this game pretty quick. And then as long as one of their role players step up and just make a few shots and have a good game, like this should be an easy win for them overall. For the Spurs to stay in this, they need to play like a very well-rounded game from all their players, which is more unlikely than one of the Nets players just playing well. Like one of the Nets role players playing well. So I'll give my edge towards the Nets. They'll be going over 217.5, as the Nets shouldn't have a problem scoring the ball at all. And then if the Nets keep the Spurs around, it's going to be a very high-scoring game. But if the Nets can blow the Spurs away quickly, it'll be probably leaning towards more to the Nets offense. So I'm just going to lean towards this being a more high-scoring affair than a defensive one. For Atlanta at the Clippers, we lean towards Atlanta -5. The Clippers played last night, and Atlanta has had 1 day of rest, so I'll give the edge to them. And plus, they didn't have to travel for between games because they're both against LA. So that minuses the traveling aspect of the road trip. So Atlanta -5. I believe they still have Trae Young and Capella playing, so that should be enough star power to overcome the Clippers with what they have left of their team, which is still most of it, but it's just when you don't have your two most important pieces, kind of hard to win games. So got to give the edge to Atlanta there. I'll be going over 218.5, as most of these games that these two have been playing have been high scoring. Maybe not so much for the Clippers, but for Atlanta, they've been very high scoring games. But Atlanta's defense is basically all on Clint Capella. So, and then the Clippers can still take advantage of just centers who like to stay in the paint just by knocking down their open threes. So over 218.5 seems pretty safe, as when the over-under comes out, it'll probably be closer to 230, I would say. But you just want like a guarantee bet, just an over 220 or 218 for this should be pretty safe, as just a lot of threes will probably be shot during this game. For Washington at Orlando, we're going with Washington -6.5. So Orlando played last night, and Orlando is one of the worst teams in basketball right now. So I think Washington should be able to take advantage of this, have an easy win overall. They just got to go out there and play. Like, just give more effort than the Magic. Like, it should just be an effort thing for the Wizards for them to get this win. Like, unless they go like blizzard cold, like they just brick everything, like they shouldn't lose this game. So I would bet on the Wizards. I'll be going under 221.5, as I just expect the Magic, because they played last night, not to have the legs underneath them to get the shots that they want, and then probably make a few more mistakes on the offensive end or defensive end, and just not be able to score the ball. Like, probably just have like a 90-ish point game. And so I'll be leaning towards the under 221.5, mostly due to the fact that I don't expect the Magic to score the ball that much. For New Orleans at Toronto, I'll be going with Toronto -7.5. This is due to the fact that Fred VanVleet has been playing very well as of late, given his campaign towards the All-Star game. So I'm just putting a lot of stock into him. Then also Toronto, they're not rattled if they get down big or up too far ahead. Like, they always play to their strengths and make adjustments. So, I do expect Toronto to come out and win this game. And then I see it more likely that Toronto win by 8 more than New Orleans staying within 8. So I'm going with Toronto minus 7.5. Going over 214.5, as I believe it's more likely that Toronto and the Pelicans can get hot from the field rather than just one of the teams getting hot and then just one team being just cold and not scoring a lot of points. So over 214.5. I could see like an under 223 or under 224, but I think it's more safe to do over 214.5. But overall, I think Valanciunas should have a good game for New Orleans, as I think Toronto doesn't have like the best players in the world to guard him, like especially in the post, as he's just a massive body. But I think there's enough athletic people on Toronto to kind of slow him down, keep him contained. But he'll still have a good game overall. But Toronto, I think, has more weapons overall to take this game. For Minnesota at Houston, going with Minnesota minus 5.5. Pretty much, if you've been betting on Minnesota recently on the spreads, it's been doing pretty good. And if you're betting for Houston, that's been going pretty bad. So I'm just going to continue using that formula and bet with Minnesota. So Minnesota minus 5.5. They just bring effort. Got a lot of young athletic players who give a lot of effort, and sometimes just putting in the more effort than the other team will net you more wins or just give you more opportunities to win the game. So going to lean towards Minnesota with that one. Being going under 229, as I think just the effort and defense by the Timberwolves will slow down the Rockets a lot. Like, I think Houston will probably score in the low 100s, and Minnesota will probably be like in the mid 110s, which that adds up to under 229. I could probably see this being over 220, but the over-under currently for this game is 229. I see it more likely being under 221 than over 229, so going with under 229. For Denver at OKC, be going with OKC plus 7. Denver's been more sporadic. The only constant with Denver is Jokic, and pretty much for Denver to like win by more than 7, it would have to be a combination of Jokic having a good game, then like one or two people, like one person having a great game, or two people having good games for Denver to have that, or I could just bet on the Thunder just having like okay game all around for them, just because there's like a similar team to Minnesota, just more younger, but a little less athletic, but they're going to give effort too. So I just expect the effort by the Thunder to keep them in the game. They might struggle if it's close in the fourth quarter, but they shouldn't be blown out. Like if it's close after 3 quarters, it's going to be close for the fourth quarter. So that's what I'm kind of betting on. But going over 214. I don't expect like crazy amount of scoring. Like this will be like I do expect Denver to get over 100. I expect the Thunder to stay with near the Denver. So just by that logic, it should go over 214. But yeah, it's like as long as the Thunder stay in the game, like they should match Denver scoring. For the Bulls at the Mavericks, I'm looking at Chicago minus 2.5. I believe Chicago's on a 9-game win streak, and might as well just bet on them winning 10 in a row, as it's a nice round number. It's like if you're at 9, you usually want to strive for that 10 games, so there should be extra effort by the Bulls tonight. And then the Mavericks, always kind of unexpected what they're going to bring, but you know they're going to bring their defense, so that's why I'm going with the under 220.5. And then, so for the tools for Chicago to win, so you still have like DeRozan and Levine. So if you need a bucket later in the game, you can like bet on them to just have an ISO move to just get the ball in the basket, especially DeRozan. DeRozan's been playing amazing this season. And yeah, the Mavericks have some players to slow them down, but sometimes just better offense, and that's just how the league has been for a while. It's just sometimes the better offense is just no matter how hard you play on defense, it's just if the player gets his one spot and you don't know what that spot is going to be. It's just hard to stop it. They just know how that shot is going to be. It's just going to go in. So going to bet with Chicago -2.5, just because like they're hot, they're well coached, and they've just been playing very well. So kind of hard to bet against them right now. For Cleveland at the Warriors, so this is going to be Klay Thompson's return game. So if there's any like profit boost for like Klay Thompson hitting 1 3 or 2 threes or 3 threes, maybe even 4, I'd take that. But overall, I think I'm going to go with Cleveland +9, as Rondo started playing for the Cavaliers. He always shows up during these big games because that's just what he does. So I expect this to be closer than what people are expecting. So Cleveland +9. Do I expect Cleveland to win? No, but I think it'll be hilarious if they do. I'll be going under 223.5 due to the fact that both these teams can play some defense. I know there's going to be like a lot of eyes saying this will be a high-scoring game. Just that's because the Warriors are playing and Klay Thompson's back. But I always felt like Klay Thompson, yeah, his three-point shooting is great, but his defense is good too. Like that's something that you don't rely on him. He's going to slow down one of the wing players on the Cavaliers. So be going under 223.5, as I do expect the Warriors to hold. Cleveland probably to low 100s, and then Warriors will probably be like 110 to 115, somewhere in there. Add those up, it's going to be like around under 223, probably like 218 total game. For Sacramento at Portland, I'll be going with Sacramento -1. These are two teams I don't like to bet on to win, but when they're both in the same game, you got to bet on one of them to win. So I'll lean towards Sacramento, as with between like Buddy Hield, Darian Fox, and Harrison Barnes, and Therese Halliburton, I think there's enough tools, more promising tools than what Portland's been having to get baskets. If Nurkic can stay out of foul trouble, I think Portland has a better chance to win the game. But if he gets in foul trouble, like this would be like an easy win for the Kings, as that just opens up the lane. And if you make your lane shots, kind of opens up your three-point shooting, which then once that opens up, it's like it's you can't stop. Can't stop that. They're an NBA team. If you give up layups and three-pointers, they're going to make them. And I can see the Kings taking advantage of that. But for Kings defense, as long as you just stay in front of their man, just contest shots by Portland, that should slow them down enough to keep them under like 115, because Portland's not going to play much better defense than the Kings. So I feel like this should just be a game to like a race to 115. Whoever gets there first, that's probably who's going to win. So I'll be going over 224 for that. And then, yes, Sacramento should sneak out with a win. For Memphis at the Lakers, so Memphis played last night. Normally, I would bet on Memphis. They've been playing very well. But it's hard to bet on a team that's just played last night, and then against a team that's playing LeBron on their home court. I just expect LeBron to just kind of backpack them. And also, the Lakers recently lost to Memphis in a close game. Like, the Lakers led that game pretty much the whole time and just blew the lead in the second half, and Memphis won. The Lakers should want some revenge, so that's why I'm going with the Lakers -1. But I wouldn't be mad at you if you take Memphis +1. But the Lakers should be wanting to get some revenge on Memphis, so they don't have Morant. So the Lakers should try and win this one. I'll be going over 221.5, as Memphis, they played last night, so their defense shouldn't be as great, and the Lakers, we all know their defense doesn't exist. So over 221.5 shouldn't be a problem. This is going to come down to LeBron James backpacking the entire team, and as long as a role player shows up, like as long as Westbrook doesn't turn over the ball like 8 times, or like Malik Monk, if he shows up again and like scores like 20 plus points again, kind of hard to beat the Lakers. So that's why I'm going to go with the Lakers -1. Thank you for watching. Comment any of your spreads, over-unders, or any player props. And once again, thank you for watching.